Germany, France were more concerned about how authoritarian he will get rather than the coup. And he doesn't, and this guy doesn't forget that.
The military coup against the government of President Erdogan was a reaction to the increasing authoritarian system. But the military coup persuaded, mostly because Turkish citizens were against this coup and defended the government. So why does President Erdogan receive so much support?
This is a country that has lived through a lot of military coups. And an authoritarian, I mean, again, which one do you want to die with? I would much rather die with the authoritarianism of an elected government, that is Tayyip Erdogan, than under a military coup. There is a strong opposition, a growing concern about his authoritarian tendencies, his, clash on media, freedom of expression, and there's been a sort of, Turkey has been declining on all across of democracy indicators across the board, but that doesn't mean that a military coup is a better option. And I think that was what was so spectacular about that evening, that people actually risked their lives and went out and moved over the tanks, and the president himself came out asking the people to come out to the streets. And I think that was a very brave move, and I think that was his taking on and not leaving and just moving on with that was a very brave act as well. And I think at that point, even the biggest opposition opponents of Tayyip Erdogan, and I am one of them, I had to admire the courage and the bravery of both the people who went out and basically walked onto the tanks and got shot and killed, and the president himself. And I think that was a rare moment of unity when all the opposition parties and the government itself. To me, that was a very glorious moment of democracy in the Turkish context, and that needs to be celebrated.
But why now? What do you think?
There are a lot of theories on that. One is that there was going to be a major cleanup of the Gülenist elements within the military rank in this August meeting. So they were kind of doomed. So this was like some people thought this was like a kamikaze last desperate move for them to just take over, that because they knew that they were going to be cleaned up, quote unquote. The second theory is that they really thought, which is an interesting argument as well, they really thought that there was so much opposition to Tayyip Erdogan that people would support them. I think that was the biggest miscalculation that they ever made, because anything would be preferable to their military coup. And so they really thought that would be perhaps some of the nationalists and the Kemalists that they have actually cleaned up within the military rank. The kind of sort of that they would actually collaborate, that they hate Erdogan so much that they would actually go with the coup. And I think that was a big miscalculation as well. I mean, keep in mind that this is the echelons of the military that have been investigated and captured and imprisoned by them, by the Gülenist movement. And there would be no way in hell that they would actually cooperate with them, even if this was a successful coup.
After the failed military coup and Erdogan's quick and resolute response, there was the suspicion in German media as well that the coup might be staged in order to enforce Erdogan's authority. What do you think?
There was a lot of discussion of that even throughout the coup itself. I mean, because the coup was so mismanaged. But then, literally, I mean, what happened, the way Erdogan actually came onto television, which is the CNN Turk, which is very ironic in itself, that became the channel through which he actually made his call. But the way he was genuinely concerned, and the fact that what happened, and all of these people that really died in the process, and what happened in the aftermath, with how worried he still is. I mean, this is a man who is still worried and asks people to come out on the streets. So I don't think he has a full command of the military as we speak, which is called in itself a very scary thing to think about. But that's what is the sort of the signal. So I don't think you could stage this. Yeah, even the best Broadway actors or actor would be able to pull this off. I don't think that can be that theatrical. And And the funerals, I mean, the guy, again, I'm not liking him at all. The guy just, I have never seen him cry that bad. I mean, he lost it in the funeral. Again, this is something, and it's very touching that how many people actually just are willing to die for him. I was very, very impressed by that. I mean, it's scary at the same time with the fact that this is all done by the mosques in calling to prayers and imams all going in, coordinating and moving into the streets, and it's a sort of an element of faith in there. But that absolute loyalty, the fact that that he makes that call and people are willing to go out and die for him, that is hell of an impressive story.
What do you think? What does this whole process, the coup, and now the cleaning up, what does it mean for the relationship to the EU?
Oh, they have become very skeptical about the US and the EU. And then we were talking about this with our colleagues, actually. There's a rumor that it was the Russians who actually told him there's a coup attempt. because the position of the European Union was, and Germany, France, were more concerned about how authoritarian he will get rather than the coup. And this guy doesn't forget that. There is a firm belief that CIA was somehow involved, all these conspiracy theories, and a firm belief that the European Union waited, not that they supported the coup, they waited for if the coup actually had become successful, then they would have said, well, Erdogan was getting authoritarian, it was a good thing that they got rid of him. So he has that kind of sort of this now, the oppositional view of the West trying to topple him anyway, and it sort of really fuels his paranoia. Which is really why he even considers this kind of death penalty, but I don't think there will be any consensus on that. It will just be, because in many ways the price that Turkey will have to pay for that is going to be too high, and I hope he's not going to get that irrational.
It's not only isolation on the political basis, but on the economic basis, which
yes.
will crash everything.
Very true, very true. And frankly, in all the sort of state of emergency statements, that was something they constantly said, well, the economy is going to go exactly as planned. We're never going to touch anything that is related to economy. So they're very concerned about the economy as well as we speak. And I'm a firm believer of the rational voter thesis. Voters are rational, and ultimately they'll make the right choices. And we have to believe in that at some point. Even though I think he has made an incredible package of creating his own constituency, feeding it off, and really feeding off from polarization. But I think now that polarization have come back and bit him, he's now going to stop that, I think.